Hello, Arlington First Ward. This is Matt McNair, and on behalf of the bishopric, I'd like to introduce this week's Light the Ward theme, which is to consider ways to let God prevail in your life. As you may recall, last week's theme related to heeding the Word of God, and in his video message, Brother Oliver explained that the word heed means to pay careful attention and that heeding extends beyond listening to application. He then extended an invitation to us to heed the messages we heard in conference and find ways to apply those messages in our lives. This week's theme is a continuation of last week's as we're encouraging each of us to heed President Nelson's challenge to let God prevail in our lives. I followed Brother Oliver's example, which is always a good thing to do, and looked up the definition of prevail. One of the definitions is to gain ascendancy through strength or superiority. So I think one of the ways to think about this is that we give the Lord greater influence in our lives and greater power when we, as President Nelson said, allow our will to be swallowed by the Lord's will. In his conference message last week, President Nelson explained how the gathering of Israel depends on and is accomplished by letting God prevail in our lives. As part of that message, he reminded us that the worth of souls, all souls, is great and instructed us to abandon attitudes and actions of prejudice. He also reminded us of the blessings that we can enjoy when we let God prevail. For example, he said, when your greatest desire is to let God prevail, to be part of Israel, so many decisions become easier. So many issues become non-issues. You know how best to groom yourself. You know what to watch and read, where to spend your time, and with whom to associate. You know what you want to accomplish. You know the kind of person you really want to become. Obviously, it's not always easy to let God prevail, but it can become easier if we ask for the Lord's help. As Luke wrote in Luke 1:37, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." So please seek the Lord's help as you consider ways this week to let God prevail in your life. I know that He'll help us as we strive to make and keep covenants with Him, that He loves us, and that when we let Him prevail, we will ultimately be strengthened and prevail over our challenges and over the adversary. I'm grateful for a living prophet and for the wonderful messages we heard last weekend, and I'm particularly grateful for President Nelson's challenge to let God prevail. Have a great week.